parlay.
And welcome to the first edition of the BK Sports TalkShow, uh, sponsored by Print Belize Open Learning TV. Tonight, your host is Barry Scott Jr. and myself, Keith Acosta, and we will be discussing some of the major sporting activities that's been taking place or has taken place, and we will be giving statistical information as well as our insight on the events, what we think happened, and dissecting it. Uh,
Okay. Um, yeah, but before we jump in to the show, I could pick up just a little bit about who we are. I mean, I think everybody knows who is Keith Acosta, but I learned something already for the day. Keith, to me, the most decorated basketball player in Belizean history. Um, 11 semi-pro seasons, 9 finals, 6 championships, 4 MVPs. Then he came back as a veteran in the NEBL, 5 NEBL seasons. So 2019 was the last season.
2019.
2019 last season, two-time champ. This was with Belmopan, and I think you got one in Hurricanes as well.
Hurricanes.
One in Hurricanes as well. Uh, 4 finals appearances.
Yeah.
That was Western Ballers.
Four finals appearances. Let me tell you. Western Ballers, Demopan Bandits, and two Hurricanes.
Two with Hurricanes.
Two Hurricanes.
Got
Yes,
you,
yes,
got you.
yes.
And also, of course, not to mention, 3-time gold medalist, 3-time silver medalist, and 3 times bronze medalist for the Belize national team at the junior and senior level.
Yes. I think after been playing from since let's say '92, been involved with sports from since '92 up until recently. I think at this juncture we find it fitting to dissect and you know check with the sporting activities around and give our insight,
Yeah.
our insight what we see
Yeah.
been happening. There's a lot that's been happening um, in terms of new young kids coming up, and you have elders, still playing. You have so many sporting activities in general that's taking place throughout the country, and there's so many information that we felt
Yeah.
or feel the need to
Put out there,
cover
cover
and go and get it and bring it to the people. And like yourself being around the sports for quite some time,
Yeah.
you have a great insight and great knowledge of what's happening. Uh, not only but quite some time. You used to write for the NEBL, the previous NEBL. Um, you have vast knowledge of sports, and I feel it's need for us to put it together
Yeah.
and give the people some of our insight and our take on what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I've been writing for a couple of years now, keeping up on social media, picking up a lot of the engagement. Uh, you know, uh, and I kind of just did it out of fun to start.
Yeah.
But it was actually Paul Thompson, the former basketball president, who had reached out and made that connection.
Yeah.
But for me, I've actually been doing a lot of work with my younger brother, Brighton Cod.
Yes.
We started BK
Well,
Sports.
you have a rich history sports in the family, so
You know, he's a volleyball player, former basketball player as well. And, you know, we've been doing work getting some of our best athletes out of the country. I think we have about 12 athletes over the last 4 years. A couple more have gotten scholarships. And I know you played overseas as well for college. But there's usually like a gap in between. So we'll get a wave of guys going for 2 or 3 years and then nobody for the next couple of years and
yeah.
then we wait. So we started this foundation a couple of years ago. Been going pretty well now, but that's just a little bit about me for now.
Mhm.
But to jump into what we're really here for, we
Yes.
talk sports.
Yes,
Uh,
definitely. The little, the introduction, we're gonna get over that. Now is to get to the detail part of what we're gonna be
yeah,
discussing.
I got you.
And, over the weekend, they had some very interesting games. As you know, the, the, the BEBL
Yeah,
is heating up, and at the beginning, there were some teams out there, you know, very excited about their team running away with number one spot.
yeah,
But come today's date, we tend to have everybody in the hat. I mean, I think right now it's open.
yeah.
You can't really look at one team and say, you know what, this is the team that's gonna run away with.
You have the updated standings. You have Griga sitting in first place at 6-2. The Hurricanes at 6-2, so they're tied. Of course, Griga took the first matchup in Griga a couple of weeks ago. Orange Walk riding a 5-game win streak is in third. Defenders 4-4. They've lost 3 straight after winning that big game against the Hurricanes about a month ago. Uh, you have Western Ballers still holding on at 3-5. The Sharks are in 6, picking up steam. Winners of 2 straight now at 3-4. Then you have Belmopan 3-4 as well, and PG at the bottom of the line right now at 1-7. But
Yeah.
just to look at the scores from last weekend, touch on this a little bit before we can then allow you to just give your
Yeah.
take on it. Now, first game was the Hurricanes at PG, massive blow, 143-78. I think the 143 was the most points ever scored in an NEBL game. Top scorer is Tyree Orozco. Shout out Tyree, personal
Yeah.
virgin, my cousin, first cousin, family blood.
Yes.
So it's great to see him pick up and get off for that 38 points in about 24 minutes.
Yeah,
Um,
he's
What's your take on Tyree? I know you
He's a-
played with
he's
him.
a- he's a-
You played with
he's a-
him
he's a-
2019, right?
he's a go, yes. Actually, we played together with the 2019 team. So he's a go.
Yeah. So Tyree had 38, and there was a whole bunch of guys in the Hurricanes who scored in double digits. Fraser, Evans, Davis again scored big for PG, but we don't really matter or count that when it's a 60-point, 70-point defeat.
Yeah.
That's meaningless stats at that point.
Yeah.
So the second game, which was a big one, Orange Walk versus Western Ballers. Orange Walk pulled it out 101-89. I think we see a real big tree forming in Orange Walk with Stanback, with TJ Hall and Hudson. But you seem to think that the secret to this team is Brian White. What's your take on that?
Okay, with the Orange Walk, I think size.
Size.
Orange Walk is a solid team,
Hefty.
and yeah, it's a solid team, and they're a team that, with the size, they can wear you down.
Mm.
They can get in the paint and use that. Despite if you might have the physical ability to get up and down a lot, and someone is pushing some weight on you, eventually you're gonna get tired and you're gonna give in, and that's the strength to Orange Walk's game. I think besides the TJ Hall and
The shooting, man.
and
The shooting has been ridiculous.
yes, and because it's created by the big front court.
Yeah.
These guys, you guys, when once they're in the post, you as a you have to close the post, and that opens the space for the shooters. So
Well,
on defense, if you're playing orange walk defense, you have to pay attention to the big guys underneath the rim, and that gives space to the
gotcha.
guys outside to shoot that shot.
Tell me something. You played as a over 40-year player,
Yes.
40-year-old player in the NEBL.
Yeah.
What does Chengo add to this team? You know, he used to be super athletic. You know, age, injuries, but he's still there playing 28 to 30 minutes a night.
Oh,
So what does he add for Orange Rock?
well, what Chengo adds to the Orange Walk team is what he's been adding to all the teams that he's been playing on. He brings a great deal of rebounding. He is a presence because remember Chengo is 6'5", you know, so he is a presence on the block and on defense. And his experience after so many years, he has developed, he has gained a lot of experience where he you know, he's played on a lot of teams, played on winning teams. He's won
Yeah.
a lot. I could remember the first time he played against me, they won in the 90s semi-pro tournament. So
Oh, okay.
and he
So
was
he's from way back.
from way back. Yes.
Yeah.
No, I think it's starting to be great. In the 2000 era.
Mm.
In the 2000 era, yes. Because he's kind of too young for the 90s.
Yeah.
So he's from the 2000 era, but he brings a wealth of knowledge and experience
I think he told me he's 40 now.
yes, and leadership
Uh,
and
and
you
one
know,
of his traits that I saw that I know you did it as well. I know Alex is doing it now for the Hurricanes. Is he's a good ball mover.
yeah, that's
So he might not get a lot of assists, but he makes the hockey assist. So that extra pass when
he's
the
a great
defense is
passer.
in.
He's a great passer. Chengo can pass the ball very well, and you know his size. If he sees the floor because he has great size, and he you know when Chengo used to play in his prime, he used to be a primary ball handler as well.
At
So
6'5",
in order-
6'6".
Yes, and for you to handle the ball, you have to see the floor
Yeah.
because you got to see when the guys are cutting, and that made him a good passer. And he's, you know, that's why you mentioned that he can pass, but he used to be a primary ball handler, you know, when he used to play in his prime, and now he hasn't lost a touch. He can still pass it.
Yeah.
He can still put it on the floor, and he's all those attributes makes him an effective senior guy.
I got you.
Yeah.
And then we had a tough one. I was there at this game. I saw this one live. Belmopan and Sharks. There was a lot of physicality from San Pedro. I know you have a close relationship with Rico, being a part of the Tiger Sharks organization. Physicality. Some players know how to handle it. Some kind of get rattled and lose their game. All their tactics, all their plays, all the strategy kind of get thrown out the window when the game starts getting a bit chippy. It was a headbutt that took one of the guys out from Belmopan, and Coach Starr also got ejected from the game off of that. So I think
Yes.
Belmopan kind of had it a bit rough after that.
Yes.
What did you see from that one?
I think with the San Pedro Tiger Sharks, which I am kind of surprised that they are not in the top standings right now, which they at a 2-4 record is not the norm for San
Yes.
Pedro Tiger Shark.
Because it is 3-4. 3-4. So he's
Yes.
there, one away.
Yes, that's not the norm for Tiger Sharks. Tiger Sharks has always been in the top standing. You would expect them to be where Griga or Hurricane is at, but they've been having a slow start.
Yeah.
I think in terms of getting the guys together and playing the San Pedro style again, I am thinking if it's not because they're not playing at home.
Well,
the home games for San
yeah.
Pedro is crucial to San Pedro's success.
What was the tough part about that for somebody who's never been to a Tiger Sharks home game? coming off a
For
civic.
them, it's their home. They know the stadium very well. They know the rim. They know the area. So for them, it's an advantage
Yeah.
for them, or for any home team. Any team that has a home team, it's an advantage for them. So like I mentioned, I'm kind of surprised that they are so far behind.
Yeah.
But the game that I saw when they played the Bemopan, that's the San Pedro style of game. They're going to be physical,
Yeah.
and by them being physical, the other team has to be smart.
Mm.
And the Bemopan bandits, I think that San Pedro physicality got the best of them, and at one point it was a close game.
Yeah.
The game was close. I mean, the score does not reflect how the totality of the game, but at one point the game was close, and Belmopan, I think they got out their composure,
Mm.
and Tiger Sharks kept theirs,
Yeah.
and they managed to just
14 views.
run the team, run the scores on them, and by playing their style of game, which I mentioned too, is their physical play. And
I got you.
If you can't match that, by the time you look at the score, it's gonna be
Mm.
a bunch in their favor.
I got you.
So Bamapan has to do a better job of handling physicality, and they also need to do a better job of getting their
Local.
guys
Yeah, the local.
involved. Yes, because
Uh,
from what I saw, the local guys were missing.
missing.
Yes.
And they're young guys too.
Yes.
They're pretty young
It's
guys.
and they were at home,
Yeah.
and Bemapan is at home, so you
Mm.
needed the Lopez and the Flowers and
Mhm.
the Mackenzie and the Williams for these guys
Yeah.
to have, for one of them to have a great game.
Because there's only two players who, I think only two of them finish in double figures that entire game.
Exactly,
And
and
that's predictable.
at home.
Yeah.
So if you would have had a Flowers, with a 20 plus or
Even 15.
because he's capable of it.
Yeah.
Brandon Flowers is capable of putting
Yeah.
30 points.
Mm.
But if you don't have these guys in double figures or barely making double figures, then that means that your success will be minimal for that night.
I got you. Then the last one, the big game of the week, Riga
Oh yes.
versus Defenders. Right?
Yes.
Boogie came up big. We're talking about the locals,
Yes.
23, 4-4. Young Sego, who I think you want to touch on a bit in the next segment. Monster, 20 points, 8 rebounds. I think arguably his best game of the season. He's had a couple really big ones already, which is really good for a player of that age. I think he's still about 19, if I'm not mistaken. Campbell being steady. Not a good shooting game, but in the fourth quarter, I think he scored 8 points in the fourth quarter down the stretch to close out the Defenders.
Yeah.
Then for the Defenders, Jones. It's a tough one for the team, but Jones in a tough game still gets you 23 points. Branch gave them a good game, but he had some foul trouble in the end, 16. And your old boy, young boy, Fardi,
Yes.
Farron Lariano, 14 and 10. I think he's working himself back into shape pretty well. So, what are you thinking about Green?
Okay. With first of all, let me say that was the game of the week.
Yeah.
It was a very good game, and it's up there with one of the good games for Griga. I think with the Dan Griga team, they came out with a lot from that game. Reason why I say such is because the core guys, which is the Campbell and the center,
Woodson, yeah.
Woodson and Henderson,
Yeah.
they and also Connor King, they wasn't as dominant and effective as they have always been, especially Campbell, and it took the likes of Mitchell and Siego to spearhead the team. And once you have something like such, that that helps your team a lot, especially with core of your guys being foreign based, and you have the local guys carrying a heavy load like they did, and it was needed because at the time they at one point they were down by 18 points.
Yeah.
Um, the defenders had them by 18 points, and they crawled back on the back of Mitchell
Mm-hmm.
because at one point Mitchell had a very
I think it
hot
was
streak.
got a couple threes,
Yes,
got
hot
to the
streak
line,
and
got
moment
to the
and
rim.
shift the momentum in Griga favor, which close the gap. That's all they need to do. Once you close the gap and then you keep, nitpicking and nitpicking, eventually you're gonna have a chance.
Yeah.
And like I said, it was a great success for Griga because you know
Sure, the local guys
Campbell wasn't
can pull
having
weight.
Campbell wasn't having his best night.
Yes.
Konaki wasn't having his best night.
Woodson played
Woodson
16 minutes.
wasn't having his best night, and the core wasn't having their best night, and it took the other guys to step up, and that's what you like from a team. That's what a championship caliber team can do. They, once you have the X factors stepping up when the top guys are, struggling a little bit, then that gives you a better chance of winning, and it showed because in the end, Campbell got his groove going, which you need, like you said, a closer, and each team need a closer, and he, down the stretch, he made some big baskets, and that sealed the deal. Ciego can play big down the stretch at the end too, and that sealed the game for them. In terms of the defenders team, the defenders team is missing Daly, and they're missing Daly big time.
What for?
Scoring. Scoring purpose, leadership purpose. He's a big part of the defenders team. He's a big part of their success. He's for the past several seasons he has been a big part of any team that he plays on.
Keep hold on. Boy. Everybody who I talk to out there tell me, man, you talk about Devin, the man in a shape no more. He can't do it again. He not another boy. What you tell me about that?
Okay, that should be funny because if they say that he's not in shape and he's averaging 20 points a night,
Yeah.
imagine if he is in shape.
Yeah.
All right,
Terrible.
so 20 points away from your team is a big loss, and the defenders, I think throughout the season will need to have someone else step up
Thought it would be Dillon.
to give them that.
Dillon has been hot and poor.
Not only step up, but step up with consistency.
Gotcha.
They need to be consistent. You got Devin Daly is consistent.
That's 20 a night.
That's
Counted.
20 a night guaranteed. So the other guys need to follow and be consistent. You can't come one night 20 points and next night 6.7 points. So the defenders going through through the rest of the season will need another player to step up to fill the gap that they've been have been doing.
Gotcha.
They took a 18-point lead behind Jones. They were playing very well, making shots, and in the end, which was where Devin Daly would come in.
Yeah, he's a closer.
Because remember, we've seen Devin and Jones go to work along with Devin.
I was there for the Belmont final game. And
Several
it was
games,
like
exactly.
One by one,
And
you just lined everybody.
with a game coming down the stretch, you want the ball in Devin hand or Jones' hand.
Yeah.
And for that game in Dangriga, when Devin was missing, then they were kind of lost
I got you.
because they didn't know who to get it. Well, besides Jones, and Griga did a very good job defensively on Jones. The rest of the guys not with that inconsistency wouldn't help it, and they ended up losing an 18-point lead. I think they should still be confident because they were up in Griga.
Which is tough.
They commanded that almost the entire game. No?
Yeah.
They took control of almost that entire game, but in the end, Riga had a run and they managed to took the victory.
got you. But you said something a bit now, and we try to do this every week moving forward. We want to give Keith the chance to take a deep dive.
Yes.
So, we're sitting talking about locals and their role in being big players, big contributors on our local teams, whether it's football, basketball, cycling, whatever it is.
Yes.
You came up as a young player in semi-pro, I think straight out of high school, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
How is it that you go about developing as a local in Belize, and what's the importance of that in terms of building a strong team that can challenge and compete for the BBL championship on a yearly basis? What was the workload like to really get better? How did you go from Keith the high school player to Superman Keith Acosta? Were there any tips, any tricks involved that the young players out there can take in and listen to? Um, did you go through any big time camps? Did you have any special trainers?
Well,
How you go about becoming talented, uh, a big time contributor as a local?
I think one of the main thing is that in terms of the local talent, uh, I think what we have today's date is that the expectation is kind of high.
Mm.
It's way up, way out there. I mean, a lot of people today's day do to they go and they watch the NBA, they watch Steph Curry, they watch LeBron,
Yeah.
and they go and they watch the BBL, and they think that the regular local cat
Mm.
can do what LeBron does and what Curry does and what all these professional players do. Because remember now, when we see a basketball on TV, we don't see much of the FIBA tournaments. We
Mm.
see NBA.
Yeah.
NBA is the on our guideline,
Mm.
and you see quality play. But then now, when you go and you look at your local guys, you expect them
Mm.
to do what you just saw on TV,
But they don't know the work that goes in
and
there.
there is so much behind it,
Yeah.
you know. But the thing is that with our local talent is that there is still so much that they can do.
Mm.
You don't have to do 1,500 shots
Mm.
every day,
Mm.
but you can do 300.
That's what you used to do. Because I saw you had a
Yes,
decent,
well,
decent
yes.
jump shot. So
Yes, definitely. You have to put in the work. You have to
yeah.
put in work. You have to put in some work. There's I don't think there's I used to always say that the only person that I think could just jump out of a bed and go and dominate a game would be Shaquille O'Neal, right? Because
Mm.
he's big and strong. The rest of us have to work,
Mm.
So in terms of the local guys, because you know I they have to do something. Do
Mm.
not do not do nothing and expect high expectations when you step on the floor.
Yeah.
You don't you didn't get up and run. You didn't get up and do the 2-3 miles jog, and
So
you
that's
expect
what daily?
daily, yeah.
What?
But you expect to run 40 minutes.
Ah, got you.
You didn't shoot 300-400 jump shots,
Mm.
but every time the ball touches your hand, you expect to shoot.
Mm.
So, you you can't expect to try and lay up the ball every time and you haven't practiced in your layout. You have to do these things and do the fundamental, practice the basics
Mm.
before you put put that out on the floor.
Got you.
And because of the with this season you had where remember now we're coming off a pandemic,
Mm.
and this is the first
Yeah.
from 2020, this is the first season.
Mm.
So the expectation, like I said, is kind of high, but there is still expectation to do something, not just don't do anything and feel like you can go out there and perform and you haven't done anything. You have to get up and go to the gym, shoot the shot, be coachable and the work that you put in, you're gonna see in the end.
So I want to touch quickly on two of the young players who I've seen really stand out. Um, Sego, everybody's talking about Sego.
Yes.
He's like the highlight factor right now. Like if you late, he might put it on your head. Kind of
Yeah.
like you.
Yes, yes.
What have you been seeing from Sego's game this season? What are you encouraged by? If you were to work with him, come up and say, okay, put in a weekend of work. What are some of the things you'd be trying to get him to work on? But of course, what are some of the things you've seen that he's been doing really well with?
I think we're seeing a rise of a great young talent,
Mm.
and coming out of Griga, Griga has been always been producing great talent, and I think he is in a great position because he is with one of the premier point guard in Belize right now at this moment, who is in the form of Edgar, you know.
Mm.
So we have where he is in a great position. Um, the sky is the limit for him. He just needs to, like continue work and be coachable.
I got you.
He needs to be coachable and
There's a lot of people don't know about his coach right now. Derek.
yes,
A lot of people don't know Derek Morgan is actually a basketball player first
yes,
before, before he got into volleyball.
Derek's been around quite some time in terms of basketball and volleyball.
Yeah.
I know I think this is his first time ever holding a ring
Yeah.
of such magnitude,
Yeah.
because it's like you're in the Lions Den immediately, having
With a team with
with
expectations.
exactly being with the Dangriga, I it's like you throwing at the Lions Den, and yeah, so he has great expectation, and he has some young talents under him, and he has some he has a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
A lot of work to do, and we expect big things from him. He has a great team to work with. He has a great team to learn from, and so it's only good things you're expecting.
Yeah, I got you. So Keith, I'll wrap up with one last word for any young player. What do you want to see from them for the second half of the season? Because the season is split into two parts, and their All-Star break is coming up, so you could really take a step back, look at some film. So what do you want to see from the young players, Jaden Lopez, Kevin Palacio? We have a couple of them, Rashid Renault, some young promising players. What you trying
Yeah.
to see from them for the rest of the season?
Okay, I think what you want to see from the young players and is more confidence. More confidence. You want to see them get out on the floor and play with more confidence, like they belongs there.
Mm.
Because if you look at the crop that's coming out right now, every single person that's on the floor belongs there.
Yeah,
Because we have a short pool or a
yeah,
small pool. We have a
yeah.
small pool of players, and if you're selected to be on a BABL team at this moment, that means you have some sort of talent.
Mhm.
You've been playing at some sort of level as well,
Yeah.
and it's just to have the confident confidence to go out there and play and play the best way that they know how. You have yeah, if you look at the Kaya Western Ballers, they have a bunch of young cats with the local cats as well. Carvajal, Molinas, and
Yeah.
And you have when you go to the PG side, you have PG crew, which is PG for quite some time. PG been longing to be a part of the basketball competition. And I like to encourage them to to keep their head up. They're playing, because if I could recall many years ago, Dan Griga used to be in that same position.
Yeah.
If I
Those guys put the work in.
Yes, Dan Griga used to be in that same position.
Yep.
They used to be Dan Griga Warriors,
Yeah.
and they used to be everybody. Used to rack up points on them. But now look at them right now; they are one of the top teams.
Gotcha.
You have, like I said, with the PG, they have a good stadium. They have, they just need to. They have good players. They got with Mr. Oden and a couple of the other players. They just need to find a way to put it together.
I got you.
Keep their young core, and when you look at the Orange Wap crew too as well, they have some young guys as well, and it's if I might say is that the future looks very bright for a lot of for going forward.
I got you. But let's take a quick, short commercial break while we queue up our special guest for tonight.
Okay, definite.
So,
Yes, we have a very special guest tonight indeed. He's from the west side as well.
yes, sir. So
West side is the best side.
stick with us, guys. We're gonna take a quick break while we bring in our guests
Yeah.
back in on the better side of the next 3 minutes.
Oh, life ain't always a bed of roses. You have to work hard, people, you better know this. Ups and downs, continuous turnarounds. Stay wise and stay focused, yeah. Oh, life ain't always a bed of roses. You have to work hard, people, you better know this. Ups and downs, continuous turnarounds. Stay wise and stay focused, yeah. By the sweat of a man's brow shall he get paid. Yet still it's a blessing Jah gave. Some man no work hard for what they gain, but remember no pain, no gain. Whether your brother boy driving by in a your fancy ride, every man carry them own burden. Stop and think about their work. No, but not every man carry them own struggle behind them closed curtains. Me in a me Mercedes, but them never know how long and hard the Rasta man been working. Still when me pull up anywhere when me could me still a help out all of me brethren them, and that's for certain. Forward we going, we not look back. One bird could never strong as the whole flock. One fish could never strong as the whole school. Don't be a fool, togetherness are the golden rule, yeah. Life ain't always a bed of roses. You have to work hard, people, you better know this. Ups and downs, continuous turnarounds. Stay wise and stay focused, yeah. Oh, life ain't always a bed of roses. You have to work hard, people, you better know this. Ups and downs, continuous turnarounds. Stay wise and stay focused, yeah. Mama, she a feel the pain, she a feel work all day. Picnic need food and still bills a fi pay. Daddy get stuck in a jail, caught pon the corner lane. Found out he was slanging cocaine. Said he was only trying to make it better for his family. All he really wanted was to see them living happily. Naturally, now to see how they're living is sad to me. Thinking, is this really how bad it had to be? House pon the hill, but them never know how long and hard the Rasta man been working. Still when me pull up anywhere when me could me still a help out all of me brethren them, and that's for certain. Forward we going, we not look back. One bird.
Alright, and we're back with the BK Sports Show.
Yes.
Did a little walk around the league. got a
Yes.
bit from Keith. So I want to take this time now to introduce our first guest of the season. He's the brave soul who decided to take us up on an offer for the pilot episode. Uh, Good friend of the show. Uh, Keith played with him.
Against him, played with him, played against him. You know,
So, everybody, I want to introduce a
he's
good brother,
he-
national team player,
yes, he's a very
Kayo star, the great
he's
Richard.
a model,
Richard,
a model of the West.
a model of the West. Richard
Yes.
Choya, everybody.
Yes, so
So let's get Richard up. Richard, of course, does his show every Wednesday, the BBL Talk.
good night, brother Rich. Can you hear me now? Make sure all clear. All right, thanks for being a part of this, this first time, first run-in. You bless us with the best that first and last. But
I got
thanks for being with us.
it. Yeah. So Rich, I got you.
Yes.
When I reached out to Richard told me, and we'll get into this, because we have a couple questions for you, Rich, of course. I want to hear a bit about you. We know Richard Choya, the BBL player, or NEBL player. We know him as the big man from Kayo. But where did this thing all start? Where did Richard Choya, the basketball player, begin? Mm. Rich, you're not from San Ignacio? Esperanza. Gotcha. I got you. You told me in a conversation that you saw Keith as a young when you were a young guy out in Cayo. You you recall that running? Where did that happen? Which tournament was it? A tournament? Um,
It's high level for Kyle because they were allowed to bring in, I think, maybe two semi-pro guys per team.
Yes.
And it just happened to be an all-star break, I think. And I think maybe
Yes.
Keith was there with the Crowns, or maybe Keith wasn't even playing. I can't remember. Maybe Keith can remember, but
I,
I
I,
remember
I,
this.
I think it was an All-Star break. Yes, I think it was an
Mm.
All-Star break.
It was an All-Star break because,
Yes.
like, my first memory of Keith was a dunk contest, and everybody wanted Keith to dunk. But I don't even think Keith was in the contest. It was just like, like people knew about Keith, and I didn't really know because like
Yeah.
back then we didn't have TV. Like my family never had TV. We just had radio. I probably knew his name. Well, Keith, in humble Keith style, he laugh and he smile. The man pretty much ice cold.
Yeah.
Walk up to the rim. The man start about half court, and he jump and he dip the ball, touch your ankle, and smash it with two hands.
Yeah, you
And
have some very
and
good memory there, Rich.
well, that one seared into my memory, bro. That me like
That was my
Superman born
signature
to
dunk,
me.
you know. My signature dunk was the touch your ankle, and like you mentioned, it was an All-Star game, and I think that's the only dunk contest I ever been into in Belize.
Wow.
Could you imagine
Wow.
that? And at the time,
Privileged then. I'm a privileged.
and at the time with being athletic and everything, could you imagine the only dunk contest? Not like today where there's 3-point contest, dunk contest, all-star, so many good things, for the young kids or young up and coming players. But imagine that.
Yeah, that was my first memory, man. And then after that, I think I had like like your kind of your consciousness open to the fact that Keith exists. And then I remember the play where Doc Garnett the lob the lob for the game winner. And then you used to sit down on commercials and stuff. And so yeah, then there are two like players where I always remember from Keith. I never said the lob live, but I'm having face to put the player too. You there, Barry's? I don't know if you know to hear me. I know that for some reason I know to hear. I don't know.
Come on, Mark. You can hear me, Rich?
Hey, I hear you know. I hear you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I'm back on. Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So like I was saying is that it's not like today's date where there's phone video and all these types of equipment to video every game. You know, back then we had to rely on Channel 5 or Channel 7 to see if they
Mm-hmm.
were viewing the game.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Rich boy, I wanted to know now about your transition, like moving from Kyle to Belize City. You said that was an adjustment. Then you go on this national team, you do well. First of all, I know I'm very much interested in the scholarship part. How did you get the scholarship? How did you get discovered? Who made that link? How did you end up in the U.S. at a Division 1 program?
Man, I always said that God opened doors because that was my dream. Um, it wasn't like somebody saw me play in the Bahamas. What happened was I came back to Belize and Smiling was like I hated school, Berries. I know this isn't probably gonna go over well with you because you're an educated guy, but
Hey,
I've hated school.
you're not.
I've
it's,
hated school all the way through.
yes, it's a common thing.
No, but anyway, so I had quit high school. I had quit high school in like second farm, and I had no intentions of returning. But Mr. Smiling, after that trip, said, "Hey, you're coming to John's," and so I was like, "Nah, I'm just gonna take my GED and I'll be good." And he said, "No, you're coming to John's and you're gonna play basketball." So I was like, "All right." And so I ended up going to St. John's, playing 2 years at St. John's. Did well academically, did well with basketball, but still had no offers, no looks. But it turns out that like I have American citizenship and I had American family in Canada, and Dr. Louis Abanet and Dr. Douglas Smith from Cayo, they saw me play in the Cayo League and they really liked my attitude. They really wanted to help young guys, and that's where that promotional video that you posted on your Facebook came from. Dr. Louis Abanet paid for that to be done. He paid for me and Jahid. Anyways, he flew me on a one-way ticket to the U.S. I have family in Tennessee, and so I ended up in Tennessee. He knew some people in Clemson. I drove to Clemson, borrowed a car, drove to Clemson, and scrimmaged with the guys down there. The coaches told me to go to a prep school or a JUCO, and so I had no clue how to do that. So I just got a job and started working. And um, I got a call one day out the blue, and a coach said, "We need players. I'm from a JUCO in Oklahoma. We need players. Like, if you come, you have a scholarship." And I was like so happy I started crying. Like, I remember the exact place I was. I remember everything that happened. But what happened there was Coach Kevin Siroki knew Coach Mark Kaufman, who Mark Kaufman coached Kirk Shabba-Smith Sr. at Weber State.
Oh,
And so it was just these links. And so Mark Kaufman was at this junior college at the time. And I drove out there with my parents, visited, and just went there. That would have been, I graduated in 2003 from St. John's. That was January of 2004. I went to Carl Albert State College, and I was redshirting, and the program was kind of in shambles, and so they didn't practice, and the guys were just in the dorms doing some stuff that athletes do that they shouldn't do, and not going to class. But I took the initiative to practice with the girls' team because I was like, this is a stepping stone. I want to go Division 1. So every day you'd find me in the gym, and I was just shooting, shooting, shooting for like an hour or two. And so the coaches heard that, and they were impressed, and they were like, every time they hear a ball bouncing, they know it's Rich. And so any contacts they had at Division 1, they would call and say they had a guy. And so what happened was Mark Kaufman again, who was coaching me at that junior college, he had a link in at Utah Valley with Coach Dick Hunsaker. Um, Trying to shorten this story, but Dick Hunsaker flew out to Oklahoma, watched us play 3-on-3 pickup in a high school gym, and he didn't offer me then, but he offered me to come out to Utah Valley on a visit. And so he flew me out. Actually, I had one more offer. I had another offer from Binghamton University through Mark Kaufman as well. And so I was like, man, I don't know if I have a choice. I don't know which one I'm going to go to. I was going to take both visits. But the day or two before Binghamton was supposed to fly me out, they called and said that they had signed a guard that they had been pursuing for a while. And so I was like, well, Utah Valley is my only option. So I flew out to Utah, visited. Ronnie Price was my host, and Pierre Thomas, another one of Ronnie's like best friends, and they hosted me. I don't think they knew how to host me because I was so like bushy. Like, they asked me, like on a visit, you're supposed to eat at like nice places. They asked me where I want to eat. I said McDonald's, and they're like, "You serious?" I said, "Yeah, I'm good with McDonald's." So anyway, it's like, yeah, and then the coach offered me a scholarship, brought out the papers, signed, and I was on for 4 years, man. 4 years, 5 with finishing my degree, but it was rough. It was really, really rough.
Listening to your story, all I can say is wow, because I think I similarly went through the same, the part with not liking school. That's why, which school is important. It's very important, but being young, like, you just have that tendency in you, and listening to how your journey, I see somewhat a lot of similarity myself, so Hearing it for the first time, all I can say is wow.
Uh,
Yeah.
But the part is I never did got to practice with the girls team though. So
I never know physical practice, but I'm just shooting drills and
yes.
Rich, I got one more question for you about
for
college.
sure, bro.
Uh, well, two actually, two short questions. Right? Did you play against anybody that we would know in Belize? Like anybody went to the NBA? What was the level of competition
Well,
like?
so we were lower division one, but we played. I played against. Well, my teammate went to the league. So Ronnie Price, my freshman year, I played with Ronnie Price, and he went to the NBA. He was undrafted, but then he got picked up by the Sacramento Kings. He had a 10, 11 year NBA career. If you want to see Ronnie's like highlight moment in the league was when he dunked on Carlos Boozer. I think the Boozer was with the Jazz, and Ronnie came in off the right wing and just dunked on him. Yeah, look that play up. It was pretty cool. Anyway, so Ronnie Price, and then the only other NBA guy that had a long NBA career that I can remember was Wesley Matthews from I think it was Wesley Matthews from Marquette, who
Marquette,
played in
yeah.
Miami for a long time. He played all over the league, but he was a good player, not a superstar, but a good player.
I got
And I remember guarding him. I had to guard him. He was my assignment.
you. I think I did some research because you know our production team is pretty good this year on this side.
I know you and your research, bro.
I saw you play against Ryan Anderson as well. From
You see,
University
I didn't
of
even remember Ryan
California.
Anderson.
I think it's University of
Oh,
California.
yes, I remember him. Yep.
And he was a big time player. I think made the All Star game I think once. Real high level guy. So it was some real serious levels. Because for me, when you were in Belize in 2003, I didn't know much about Richard Troyer then. So when I saw you pop back up on the national team, I was like, who the heck is this guy? And then, you know, NEBL and you're what, 30 at that point, still giving these guys buckets. So to hear the story and everything, how it came together, it's quite interesting. One more thing, what's the best moment you had in college? Like, what made that experience so memorable, so important into your development, both as a player and a person?
Man, I guess if I had to pick one moment, it would have been I played one of my best games. It was in a loss, sadly. It was in a loss against an in-state rival. It was against Utah State University, and they were good, right? Like they were a level above us. But that night, our best guy, who was Ryan Toulson at the time, Ryan Toulson went on to play and have a really good career in Europe. Ryan Toulson was like he was a 6'4" white kid, but I've never seen somebody shoot like Ryan. Like Ryan shot like 90 something percent from the free throw line. Like side note, there was I think we were in South Carolina, one of the Carolinas, and Ryan missed a free throw in a game, and he was pissed off, and he said to me, he's like, "Rich, I'm not missing again this year," and he didn't. He didn't miss another free throw the entire year. Like it was crazy, but he had a bad game that night against Utah State, and I had a really good game. Like that was I think in college, like you go for 2017 as a role player, like that feels really good. And I think I had like 17 points that game.
Yeah.
I shot the ball really well. I actually brought the ball up because they took us out of our offense. The coach wasn't happy with it. But I think the thing that stood out to me the most that night was coach told me that I was the best player on the floor. And it meant a lot coming from him because coach was really old school and very short. Like he didn't give out very many compliments. And yeah, that was one of the things that stood out to me. I'm gonna give you one more like thing. And in pickup, after I was done playing, like I wish the NEBL was like in whatever, like when I was in my prime. But like I couldn't play for my coach. Like every time I got on the floor, I tightened up, and that's not on him. That's on, in a way, it's on me. But like I just wasn't. I couldn't play. I wasn't loose. I was like probably behind Ronnie Price, one of the better players. Probably like the second or third. Coach told me I was like the third best player on the team in pickup games. But when the lights came on and coach was there, like pickup coach is not watching, right? But when coach stepped into the gym, it was like I was afraid of making mistakes. And this one burns me because like he told me one day I was in the gym, Belize style, I was playing barefoot against one of the guys that was still on the team and busting his butt, right?
Yeah,
And coach walked into the gym and he said to me, Coach said, Rich, he said if you would have in games like you played in pickup, he said you'd have been a second round pick. And that one burned me because I was like, man, that's what you're gonna tell me now, you know?
Yeah, for real, for real. Well, Rich, so when you graduated in 2009, I think you said, right? Did you come back to
that's when I
Belize
got my
right away,
degree. I
or
finished playing.
did you stay in the States a bit?
Don't touch it.
I finished playing in 2008. I stayed a year on the coaching staff to finish my degree. And really at that point, I was done. Like, I think I should show you a picture. One time I posted a picture and Faradi commented on it, said, "Why Rich look like you used to eat people, man."
Let me ask Rich. Let me ask you. After after being away and gaining so much more knowledge of the game, and competing at a higher level, when you return back, what was your feeling like?
Frustrated.
Coming back and playing your being here, being back home, and going against the guys from Kyle and myself and other guys. When you came back with all those, what was your feeling like?
It, bro, Keith, and I was telling my wife this the other day. Like when you play in a system like a very very strict system like I played, we didn't play
Yes.
loose basketball. We played extremely strict, right?
I could
And then you
relate that.
come back and you play
Yeah.
in just like pick up like yard ball. When you
Yeah,
play,
correct,
Like,
yes.
like the NBL, especially starting out.
Yes.
You like people can't appreciate your game. You
Yes.
know.
Yes.
Just like a prime example is Milt's son Nakayo right now.
Yes.
I guarantee you, Milt's son is better than he looks.
Okay.
But
Hey,
he,
go ahead, son.
but yeah, that was the main thing, man. Like I just felt like I didn't know what to do. Like, all right, we're playing basketball, but like we're supposed to be playing like basketball, but then it just took a while for me to loosen up and just hoop, right?
Yes.
And it didn't help that I was just getting off the bike because Karim took me off the bike when I was preparing to ride cross country. And if you look at my first pictures of in the NEBL, I was like 205,
Yes.
and I play at like 215.
Yeah.
And so
Yes, I
like,
saw that.
I wasn't in basketball.
I
Shit.
saw that.
Yeah. So, but like the year that you played in Kyle,
Yes.
and I sprained my ankle going into the playoffs, I
Most-
was feeling like the old me. And I don't know if you remember that practice,
And-
but I was killing that practice.
That was my first. Actually, that was my first NEBL game, and we teamed up, cause that, I wanted to play with you. I at the time I think Kyle with Ballers had they went to the finals before, right? You guys had lost against San Pedro the
Yes.
year before, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So I said, I wanted to come in with you guys and try and repeat again, and that was just the stroke of luck, bad luck, man. When you twist that.
Yeah, I
when
remember you
twist-
scolded me, look. He scolded me right after I sprained my ankle. Why with you can't go like that in a practice, bro?
Before and after. Remember, I scolded before and after because I was like, Richie, shut it down.
Richie, what happened
Yep.
there? Cause I
But it's
vaguely remember that.
hey, it's
What
just
happened there?
it's just the natural competitiveness in you.
Somebody was calling you out, Rich?
Why I think you know what I mean. One of the things where the locals may they complain about not getting playing time, right?
Yeah.
And then the me where you sit on the court, and not the me where you get like where we talk right now, and that day
Yes,
that's so I'm have it like I kind of may get the other way, and I say all right, that's how I want to play, and I at that practice there, I don't know if I miss. I don't know if I missed any shot that practice until I sprained my ankle and I had to go and sit
and we
down.
had to school them,
But
man,
that one
because
day, yeah, but that like Keith said, I mean, just like I don't know, I never know no other way than to just compete.
that's the
Yeah.
competitive
But yeah,
nature, yeah, the
I should
competitive,
slow down.
and I actually saw it, and I was actually saw it. I tried to intervene, but eh, but it's just how it goes sometimes, you know.
Mm.
But I also want to ask you, you know, when I first at the time you started to come in your own, so they would call it, you know, Richie is here, and Richie is at the helm. And at that time, the semi-pro level was kind of up and down at the time, but we had many national team stint. You know, we had where you were a
Yeah,
vital part of our national team success, and you were a vital part of our national team presentation. You know, we being 6'5", good shooter, they say Billy's team they get better and bigger. And
yeah.
you know what was your national team experiences like? Because we had some
Man,
time together. We played on several national team runs, but you know, I never did stop and ask you what was your national team experience from the first up until the last time you played.
always an honor to play for the country, man. Like I just really feel like blessed and privileged for like having been a part of those national teams as many as I was. Um, Although like some of the experiences, I mean, you come from college where you catch on playing and you fly to the next state and then everything just that and then you're kind of Belize and remember one trip we made go to El Salvador or
Yes,
Costa
yes.
Rica or somewhere and we sit on a Civic. We never know if we the fly or if we the drive to
Oh
P10 and
my,
then we drive to
yes,
P10 and then we overnight the P10 in our Lee hotel and my
yes.
gosh, bro,
Wow, that
then them
that was an
overnight
experience.
in the El Salvador one with roach and all kind of thing. Yeah, so I mean, great stories, but
Great, yes,
always
definitely,
an honor, man.
definite,
Yeah,
definite.
and then like forget to share that stage with like guys like you and Bovell and I think you and Bovell are probably like this the only one there from the old school where I made the national team because Bovell nearly killed all the way to El Salvador that time, remember?
Yes,
The man the
yes.
man
Actually,
man dropped somebody on the court.
yes, yes. Actually, I met Bovel. No, Bovel was way before my time. So, like you mentioned, for you it was good for you to play with me and Bovel. For me, it was good to play with Bovel. You know, but I do remember that those long trips that we had to take, and had to before get ready to go out and play. You know,
Yeah.
challenging.
Yeah, but the 2009, 2010 were probably my
Yes,
like then my highlights of my national team. Obviously, like the silver medal at Cancun, and the
yes.
one the Mexico game, the Dominican Republic,
Dominica,
really
yes.
like still
I
stand
I
out
I,
in my head, man, because
I think
like
I think from a
I don't know what
personal,
happened.
yes, personally, I think that was the best I ever, best of Richard Troy I ever saw was in the 2009 game, because you were very instrumental in the Cocab in the Mexico Cancun games, you know,
Yeah,
and you carry forward, and you went to Dominica, and you still held your own again, you know. So those are some very
yeah,
good run for you.
yes, it was. Yeah, I mean, like those things mean a lot to me now, especially like the older I get, like the more you cherish cherish the times you get to play and get to represent your country and get to perform at that level, man. Because I know most young guys not understand it, but like you have to cherish the time. Just like me, like in 2020 I was playing the NEBL, and just
Yes.
like that, COVID hit,
Yes.
and no 2.5 years later, like suit me if you go play again.
Yeah.
So like you have to play every game that like it's your last, man. You never know what will happen.
Definite. Definite. And also I know you know after school, after you finish school and you started played around, you kind of for me it's like you were following me, but you did what I couldn't do. I'm gonna give you Bolivia.
Oh yeah, yeah.
All right, you.
Bolivia. I mean,
Yes.
I
What
mean,
what's our
I mean, our thing, Bolivia.
what was your what's overseas experience like? Have you played any other different places? But I know you won a championship in Bolivia for people who might not know, and you were the kind of um, the main man.
Yeah, I know. The Bolivian people still hit me up. Like they don't think that age play a role. Like they said that I'm the best scorer they ever had. So yeah, Jorge still hit me up. But I never play a lot of places, man. I just like
Okay.
Bolivia. I made a highlight probably. But then I played. I actually had the opportunity to play in the professional league in Mexico, which that one pretty stiff league.
Yes.
I didn't stay because I was young and dumb. I had a girlfriend back in Utah. I wanted to get back, and they weren't paying me at the same time. So, I
Yes.
I, if it was a 38, 39-year-old rich looking back, I'd be like, stay and play for the resume, right? Because you're eating, you're not starving. But I played there for like 2 months. I did well in that league. I think it was me and an old college teammate. I think he averaged like 20, and I averaged like 19 a game in Mexico in over the course of I don't know 6 7 games that we were there. But that was a good experience too. I mean, it could have been better because of the financial situation. But
Yes.
as far as basketball, it was fun. I probably had one of my best dunks. I wasn't known to dunk on people, but in Mexico, I dunked on a dude pretty good.
Hey, you did have some
I
dunk in the
surprised myself.
you did have some dunk in the NEBL.
One or two.
Yes, but to just to get um, your side of because I did it several times. I did it with you, and then you I played 1 year with you as a vet, and I moved on, and you stayed with the Cayo, and what was it like playing as a vet in the NEBL season?
Um, it was fun, Keith. But like I feel like I kind of failed because I wanted to change the culture in Cayo, and I
Yes,
don't feel like I accomplished that. Like I really wanted Cayo to get a better basketball culture, and
yes,
that was my whole reason. Like I was loyal to Cayo, and I stayed in Cayo. I stayed in Cayo, and like I really like wanted the basketball culture there to change. But I feel like I didn't really accomplish that. Um, but overall, like the most fun I ever had playing basketball at a professional level was playing in Cayo. I mean, the fans were like, I mean, it's just home.
yeah,
And like it was people that I grew up around. It was the community that I had grown up in. It was by far like the highlight of my career was like playing in Cayo. Probably the highlight of that highlight was the All Star game in Cayo when I won
yes.
like the 3 point contest and stuff. And it was just, I mean, I get chills just talking about it because
I was there
it was
cheering
it
you
was a
on.
really really good experience. Oh yeah, that was the year that you played, right? Yeah.
Yes, yes, that was the year we played together. I was there cheering you on when you won that 3 point contest.
Yeah, man.
Yes, I could just imagine, you know, and I do agree with you that you're well, respected in Cayo and
Countrywide, definitely.
yeah, countrywide in general, but more so in Cayo. But
Yeah, for sure.
when they talk when I'm sure when they refer to basketball in the West area, the first name that comes to mind is is Richard Troyer. You know, so
Synonymous
are
with
you?
the area.
You're. I guess you're officially retired, right? Retired, right?
They say
Or
never say
or
never,
or you
but
or,
yeah,
or you
I
think
don't
you would
feel like it.
or you think you can make a comeback? Remember, Poppy retire and make a comeback now.
Physically, like
Yeah.
from a physical standpoint, I think I could still play. But just from a like I have a family, I have two children, I got
Yes.
one on the way. Financial
Okay.
standpoint, like it's tough because I need to. I've chased basketball for long enough. I
Yes.
need to get my financial stuff straight and try to
Yes.
try to leave
Yes.
an inheritance for my
And
children's children.
there's basketball, then there's life.
Exactly. There's a time for everything, man, and I think I have to let that go as a time.
Hey,
Yes.
Rich, so we're heading towards the wrap up now, and we got a couple questions, right? Rapid fire, tell me the first
shoot, here you
thing
go,
that
here you go.
comes to your mind, right? I know you're
All
doing a
right.
great job with the BBL talk, but give me three players to watch for the rest of the season who you think are going to be really influential. Might not be three guys who are the main guys, but three guys who are going to determine how the season plays out.
Man, I have to say Ciego down south because I think he brings a lot. I could see Besso, as a as Besso goes, the Rebels go. They need that inside presence, and he could, if he's at his best, he can bring that. And then I'd say Jihad, man, because he's kind of like every game I pick San Pedro or who San Pedro's playing against. It's like is Jihad gonna be there? So I'm gonna go with Jihad, Besso, and Ciego.
Yeah, and next question. We're at the gold medal game. This is Richard Troy at the peak of his powers. Who's the other four in the starting lineup with Richard Troy to win the gold medal to qualify to the Olympics?
No, like just of guys that I know.
Guys that you know from Belize. It's all Belizean guys. Yeah.
Not Belizean Americans, just Belizeans. Keith for sure. Oh shoot! I need a big. Well, Kirk Smith.
Kirk Smith.
I could go back in time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
So you got you,
All right, so
Keith,
Keith,
Kirk Smith. You need a point guard.
Bientan.
Bientan.
Quickie Benton.
You hear that name in a while, Keith?
Quickie Benton won MVP now. You remember
And
in
then,
2002,
I'll probably
Quickie
go with-
Benton was the MVP?
And who's your
I
foreman?
just know Quickie that made the deal. I just know he was good.
So you got four right now, Rich. You need five.
I'm at the 4. I'm gonna put either Raja Favala at the 2,
Right, the family.
Keith at
Raja
the 3,
Favala?
me at the 4, or next ball for Orange Walkman. The
Almendaris?
one we shoot.
Or Kittle.
Oh, Kid, Lester.
No. Kiedel, Lester, I'm your killer.
Lester Kittle.
So Richard Troyer's 5 to win and advance. You got Quickie at the 1,
Yes.
Les at the 2, Rich at the 3, Keith at the 4, Shab at the 5.
No, Keith got the 3. Keith got to play the 3. I play the 4.
You gotta take the 4. So
Yeah.
you think you could hold the 4 better than Keith, or is Keith better at the 3?
Hey,
Hey.
I'm 6'5" and I about the same weight as
Remember-
Keith. I used to wrestle cows, so I want to take myself.
Man
over.
says a wrestle cow.
People.
Remember no, my position for national team is 3. When I play with
man.
when I play semi-pro and EBL or whatever, you could put me at 4-5. But once it's national team, I have to grab the 3 spot.
Gotcha.
Two or 3.
Yeah, for sure. Keep that one dunk from the free throw line. One bounce and dunk from the free throw
One
line.
dunk. Yeah, one bounce. One bounce.
One bounce. And
Yeah.
up on your head.
Yeah.
Yo, Rich, so I want to say thanks a lot, man. It's been great. It's a pilot episode. We worked out some bugs along the way. We're going to get it even better moving forward because we have a full season ahead. We're planning, one weekly episode. We bring on a new guest. We hear some new stories. So I want to thank you on behalf of me and Keith, everybody at Print Belize. And be sure to plug in on the BBL Talk next week. Because, it's going
I
to be
appreciate
the
you
last
guys
one
having
before
me
the
on,
half.
man. It's been yes, sir. It's been a lot of fun, man, and
Yeah,
it's an honor to be on with Keith. Keith
Yes.
was like my childhood idol in Belize, so yeah, I wanted to be like Keith.
Much thanks for
It's
sharing a wonderful moment with you, Rich. It's my first, first of many to come, and what better way to start than with yourself, and looking forward to many more wonderful guests like yourself, and we can only get better as we go along. And I like to sincerely thank you for sharing your great information, so that people can understand your journey and know more about Rich. So I'd like to say many thanks to you.
Yeah, for sure, Rich.
I appreciate the platform, man, and it's always a pleasure to share and talk with guys like you guys, and I think you guys will do a really really good job. I mean, I think Keith, you should have been in media a long time ago. And Darius, I think you're quite the researcher, so you'll make a great team. You guys will be great. It'll be a good show. Just stick with it, man.
Yeah, for
Thanks,
sure.
thanks,
a lot,
man.
Rich.
Many thanks.
So, guys,
Yes,
that
yes,
was
man.
Richard Troyer. The great Richard Troyer, as I like to call him off his picks.
Mr. West.
Man of the West.
Hey, nickname will be Mr. West.
Okay,
Yeah,
first episode down.
one to go.
Lot more to go. Up next week, we have another great.
Another great segment. Yes, we're
A
gonna.
man of whose name speaks for himself. We
Yes.
have up next week
The,
your coach.
yes, my coach, the guy that I started under.
Yeah.
I started under from high school,
From high school,
semi-pro.
semi-pro.
Unfortunately, I don't think I ever played a national team.
Coach.
under-
He was big as any national
Yeah,
team
I
coach.
guess, I guess that's for the political side. We're not gonna we're not gonna dig into that. But
Not yet, at least.
yeah, but we're gonna have a wonderful guest next show. We're gonna be discussing high school tournaments. The
Semi-pro 90s.
semi-pro 90s, the history of the Raiders that
Ooh.
that I used to be a part of.
Careful, kid. You might need clearance.
Yes, I used to be a part of the Raiders, and I think the 90s information for basketball in this country is very important to forward, to the way forward. When you sit and you listen to the discussions today, there's so many gaps. There's so many gaps because there's no information from the early days to the 90s, from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. Even today's day, it's sparingly.
Got you.
And I think that is why we trying to establish what we're doing to try and get all those information that's needed to try and close those gaps. A lot of people might have information from the 70s, but not the 90s, from the 2000 era, and we're here to try
bridge
and
the gap.
close that gap so that they can have holistically, the whole
Full
era,
picture. I
whole
got you.
era from polo or before polo to 90s, Darren Bovell, Bart Sanchez, myself, Shaba Smith. Then you go on, you had some many people that we can discuss when it comes to basketball.
But on that, We'll say next week we have with us the legendary coach, Mr. Marshall Nunes Sr.,
Marshall Nunes. Yeah.
legendary Raiders coach.
Yeah.
So we're going to chop it up a bit on all things 90s. I mean, Marsh is about 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah,
So we're going to chop it up on all things
so many
90s.
information.
So join us next week. Print Belize, Open Learning. Signing out, Mr. Boots.
Mr. Boots,
Back
yeah.
on the
Big up Mr. Boots behind the
sound
scene
mixing.
doing his thing.
Keep.
Yeah.
Until
Wow.
next week, my brother. We out.
One done.
When my lady.
Hagar's Vision Center, your #1 destination for all your eye care needs throughout